Point of order.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Dr. David Clark.
Thank you. During the heat of the debate earlier, I made a comment which was unparliamentary and inappropriate, and I withdraw and apologise.
Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Just so we get the numbers exactly right, 10 in Judith Collins' faction. Just so we get the numbers exactly right, 10 in Judith Collins' faction. Stephen Joyce could not get out of here quick enough. He could not get out of here quick enough. He even walked in front of Judith Collins just to make sure he made the point, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, Judith Collins is so busy on Twitter. She's so busy on Twitter, she's not even doing the fundamental bits of her portfolio. Marie Schroff, not a woman known to major exaggeration, is in the paper this morning criticising the government, saying that they're lagging behind on privacy issues. She said that she lamented the behaviour of the minister. Well, we do that every day on this side of the House. We lament the behaviour of Judith Collins because she's failing in her duty as a minister to look after the privacy concerns of New Zealanders. And what this budget will be remembered for, Mr Speaker, is something that minister knows a great deal about. This will be the budget that will be remembered for National looking after their mates. And we saw no better example of that, Mr Speaker, than we have over the last few days. This budget will pass, Mr Speaker, today. We know that. We can see that on this side of the House. It will pass today with the vote of John Banks, who the police have said broke the Local Electoral Act. He's currently in court with a private prosecution because he broke the Local Electoral Act. He should not be in this Parliament. He was handed a cheque, Mr Simpson. He was handed a cheque by Sky City Limited, $15,000, and he did not declare that. He asked for a donation from Kim.com and he did not declare that. And that is the shabby behaviour that will prop up this government and that will pass this budget. And then we have Peter Dunn, who is not the leader of a registered political party. He is not the leader of a registered political party, and yet he retains that status and all the funding that goes with it. Mr Speaker, this is a shabby government propped up by shabby parties that has delivered a shabby budget, and the members on the other side of the House should hang their heads in shame when they look at this budget, because the message that they're sending to New Zealanders is that they will look after their mates, not your mates, Mr Speaker. And I think the other thing that this budget will be remembered for is what happened during the budget debate, during the urgency debate around the budget. And I want to make very clear to this House that the process that the National Party went through when they were passing the Carers Bill was obscene and against our democratic process. Professor Andrew Geddes from Otago University put it this way. He said, "I think National just broke our constitution." And that's what they did. Heke Parata dismisses it. Well-known constitutional law expert Heke Parata dismisses that. She doesn't agree with it. Well, she should go and read Andrew Geddes' piece and see that what he is saying is that they fundamentally undermine the rights of New Zealanders by shoving that legislation through under urgency, by not having a proper regulatory impact statement, and by denying the rights of those carers to go to court. Mr Speaker, that's what happened under this budget. And do you know what, Mr Speaker? Under this budget, John Key keeps claiming a mandate for this and a mandate for that. Well, I've decided that Mr Key does know something about mandates. He's been on a number of them. He went on one with Ian Fletcher, and that certainly got someone a job. He went on one with Sky City, and that certainly got them a deal. He went on a mandate with Warner Brothers as well. That got them a deal. Stephen Joyce caught the bromance bug. He went on a mandate as well with Shell. That's the kind of mandate that the National Party believes in, not the mandate for the public of New Zealand. Mr Speaker, the one thing I want to focus on in this speech in terms of the content of the budget for Judith Collins' benefit is around employment. And I want to make very clear that if anyone in New Zealand believes that this government knows what it's doing with the economy, knows what they want to do for New Zealand, has a plan, they should take a look at the unemployment statistics and they will think again. Mr. Speaker, 146,000 New Zealanders are unemployed. And Jamie Lee Ross says it's coming down. Well, I hate to let the member know, but that's 41,000 more New Zealanders unemployed than when National took office. Also, since National took office, the number of 15 to 24-year-olds unemployed has gone up by 12,100. The number of 15 to 24-year-olds who aren't in employment, aren't in education, aren't in training, up by 12,000 to 79,000 people. 79,000 young New Zealanders not in employment, not in education and not in training. And that, Mr. Speaker, is the failure of this government. The failure to invest in our young people so that they have the opportunity to achieve their potential. That is the failure of this government. And what the government said, Mr. Speaker, in the 2011 election campaign, and everybody on this side of the House remembers it because National Party MPs repeated it on the election stump. They said there would be 170,000 extra jobs created by this government by 2015. Well, what we discover in Budget 2013 is that National will fall 61,000 jobs short of that target. The 61,000, the population of Nelson. That's how far National will fall short of their promise made in the 2011 election campaign to create extra jobs. The government does not have the policies nor the commitment to focus on creating jobs. In fact, it has a policy agenda that goes in the other direction from creating jobs, by creating a two-speed economy where the regions of New Zealand do not have the support and the resources to create jobs, by putting in place employment relations legislation that will drive down wages, that will deny people their rights at work. They have policies that are against work, that are against jobs, not in favour of growing them, and that is why, Mr. Speaker, they will fall 61,000 jobs short. In the last year, only 8,000 extra jobs were created in New Zealand. That is why they are falling short, Mr. Speaker, because the National Party does not have the policies that are required to make this happen. But, Mr. Speaker, what's worse is that in this budget, National has recommitted again to a target of 170,000 new jobs in the next 4 years. So having completely failed to achieve the promised target in 2011, they've decided to make the same target up again. They are recidivist offenders, Mr. Speaker, the National Party. They keep making up these promises and they keep failing to deliver. People in New Zealand who heard John Key's statement that there would be a brighter future have been let down. They have been disappointed. The vested interests of New Zealand see a brighter future. The Sky City deal makers see a brighter future. But the ordinary, hard-working, wage-earning New Zealanders do not have that brighter future. That's been put aside, along and put on the scrap heap of slogans, Mr. Speaker, along with being ambitious for New Zealand, because that's what this government said they would be, ambitious for New Zealand. At best, at the moment, the government can say that they are ambiguous for New Zealand. That's the best that they can say at the moment, Mr. Speaker, because this government has failed to put up a plan that will actually drive the kind of job creation that is needed in this country. Mr. Speaker, the Labor Party has been absolutely clear about what we believe should drive job creation. We want to pull the big levers in our economy. We want to change monetary policy so that it actually allows people to create jobs with a stable and lower exchange rate. We want to make sure that we have fair procurement rules so that New Zealand Kiwi companies actually get a fair go at bidding for government contracts. We want to make sure that we actually have apprentices as part of those contracts so we don't have people on the scrap heap. If Phil Goff's promise to New Zealanders had been allowed to be fulfilled, we would have had people training so that they could do the Christchurch work. Instead, that side of the House has decided that it's okay to import workers into New Zealand because they sat on their hands, Mr. Speaker. And then, Mr. Speaker, we need to pull the smaller levers too. We need to get in there and assist 18 and 19-year-olds who are on the dole by making the dole payment a subsidy for an apprenticeship. There is a practical policy that this government could have picked up, and they have failed to do. And today, in industries like the building industry, they are thousands of workers short because that government sat on their hands. Mr. Speaker, this national government has no plan to grow jobs. Their own budget tells them they are falling woefully short of their targets. This is a shabby budget backed by a shabby government with two support parties in John Banks and Peter Dunn, who should not be able to be in this House in terms of Mr Banks, and in terms of Mr Dunn, he should not be able to receive his allowances as a party. Today, Mr Speaker, I hate to say, is a day of great shame for our democracy in New Zealand, that this government has shown that their approach to supporting vested interests doesn't just end outside this House, it happens in this chamber as well.
I call the Honourable Minister, Hikia Parata. Tēnā koe, Ms Parata.
Tēnā